Support for ending federal marijuana prohibition is stronger in Congress than it's ever been before, and we expect it could really change in the next year or two. There is growing support as more and more states are passing these laws, and it's really just untenable to maintain the state-federal conflict. So we're now seeing movement on issues like banking, we're seeing movement on other issues to address this state-federal conflict, and it's really just a matter of time before federal law changes. But in the meantime, states have the ability to take steps to control marijuana in the way they think best. And in Colorado, they're finding that regulation works. Colorado's generated significant revenue from cannabis sales, about $266 million per year, more than $1 billion since the state started regulating marijuana for adult use. And that money's being spent on things like public school construction, literacy programs. It's being spent by local governments to pave roads, to build civic centers. So it's not going to fix every fiscal problem a state has, but it's certainly helpful. One of the biggest signs of the success of the law is the ability for the government to go back and make changes where they feel is necessary. The law was written in a way that it was so flexible that the legislature has been able to address things like whether it's edible products and better addressing labeling requirements and ways of identifying cannabis products. So we've seen the legislature go back each year with changes, much like we see the legislature constantly doing with alcohol policy. As there are developments in science, as there are changes in public opinion, our lawmakers need to be able to change policy. And that's what they've been doing in Colorado, and it's been working quite well and really become a model for the rest of the country.
Look, when you look at and hear some of the things that are said in Colorado, some of the statistics when it comes to, say, traffic deaths, how do you respond to that?
The state government has really warned people against making before and after comparisons because they weren't tracking a lot of these things very well beforehand. And so states really need to start keeping track of marijuana-related accidents or anything involving marijuana so that they are able to make these comparisons in the future. But what we are seeing are studies coming out showing that there's been no statistically significant change in traffic fatalities associated with marijuana use. We're seeing traffic accidents increase nationwide and in states that did not legalize marijuana. So there's nothing about Colorado's marijuana law that's led to more accidents. Marijuana's out there, people are using it whether it's legal or not. The question is whether we're going to control it and regulate it or just have it be a free-for-all.
As you know, and I know you were involved in the last round trying to get the law passed in Arizona, it was defeated. Why do you think it was defeated?
Well, ultimately, marijuana's been illegal for decades and decades, and there's been billions of dollars spent in anti-marijuana propaganda for most of our lives. And only in the last few years have we really started to see people learning the facts about this substance. And as they learn the facts, they agree it should be regulated and treated more like alcohol. Millions of dollars were spent against the initiative in Arizona, some of which was by pharmaceutical companies that produce far more dangerous drugs like opioids. And hopefully Arizona voters are now going to be ready to take that step toward regulating and controlling cannabis for adult use.
You think, as someone who used to live in Arizona, that it will pass this time?
The initiative in Arizona in 2016 received about 49%, and that was with about $5 or $6 million spent against it. And now, a few years later, support nationwide has grown substantially. It seems very likely that it could pass. There are some folks who do not like marijuana, or they do not like the people they associate with marijuana, and they will always want it to be as illegal or unavailable as possible. But in the real world where marijuana is going to be available, whether it's legal or not, it's better that we control it, we make sure it's safe, we tax it, and we make sure only the right people are getting their hands on it.